Hello everybody, it's UnkleBTdestiny back with you. It's time for us to get our readings done for the month of November, which for those of us here in the US is a very tumultuous time. And I know much of the world is also waiting with an interesting breath to see who's going to be running this country in the year 2021. So, and we are also now at the place in the fall, as we will be soon hitting December, which will mark the beginning of winter, as we deal with so much that's going on. So let's go ahead and see what the ancestors have to say for us and the spirits as we approach the Halloween and All Saints Day, as the veil between the world of the spirits and our world is at its thinnest. So please be open and looking for the new possibilities that are there, because that's going to make the biggest difference in what we do. And we hear the messages, not just of the past, but also the future. Alrighty. So we have thrown the bones, and our dice came up this time with the number 3. And the number 3 in this case, this house, and this influence is around communications, siblings, friends, neighbors, and community. So it is very much focusing on our greater relationships in the world and with those around us. Now, even though it talks about siblings can also be actually that of blood, but that of also spirit and of culture. One might say that just because a country was once divided in half doesn't mean there aren't siblings. So we've thrown the bones, and we have that for the number 3. We also have, over here in the Indinkra system, the padlock of law, the seal of law and order. This is talking about the supreme authority and justice of the court, legitimacy and legality, and the power of the court. Now, it has recently been confirmed that a new justice has taken their place, or will be taking their place on the court, which concerns many. And so that also adds to the stress that many people are under with this election. But again, all of this feeds together to tell us a bit more about what we're going to be dealing with in this coming month of November and what it holds. And as I said, this is going to be, communication is going to play a very big role. And especially because Mercury retrograde ends on November 3rd, the day of the election. And so what we have here is our main 3 bones. And notice they are more or less in a row, and at least 2 are touching. This one here is work, this one is home, this one is family. And ultimately what this is saying to a certain degree is that almost everything is in alignment. Get everything into a row. Make sure you have everything you need taken care of, that all the house is secure, the family is secure, the work is secured, and that you are on point and focusing so that it's going to be easier to deal with any shifts and change and surprises that come. And that's what we're seeing with the sense of communication. So make sure all your communication is set up. Make sure that all connections to your sibling by family and by extension is addressed. Make sure that you know you are in contact with your friends. And what this election has shown us too is who are our friends and who are our family members that we know we can go to that will lift us up as opposed to tear us down. And equally our neighbors as well, and a sense of who and what our community is. And know that our communities aren't going to just take something quietly. Our communities are going to fight to do everything, not only to protect ourselves, but to protect them as a whole. And that's a concept, sadly, some people relish. They enjoy now having an organized image that they can now challenge against. And that's something we have to keep very much a focus on, and know that the issue with the law is that there's a way it can be used for us and it can be used against us. And there are those who will ignore the idea of the law because they feel like it either doesn't pertain to them or it does not give them what they ultimately want. So therefore, they're going to reject it. And this is going to be a dancing edge that we're going to have to deal with, because it's going to be on both sides of anything that comes out of this experience. And if we're going to be able to maintain that sense of, call it sanity, or even that sense of order, we're going to need laws. And we're going to need a system that we can also trust. Now, therein lies the difficulty, is having a system that we can trust. And that's going to require us to communicate what we need most of all, not just with our communities, but with our neighbors, within our friends, and within our siblings as well. If we cannot communicate with each other, no matter how much of a row these things are in order, we're not going to get anywhere. Now, as I said, that's work. I don't think you have to worry too much about that. There are so many different things and structures there that are about keeping it functioning. So just keep working to make things functional. And that's for the job that you do to pay the bills. But understand the role and task you're going to be doing for the greater purpose in life. Now, when we get over here to the family and the home one, they are slightly staggered, but they are still moving in direction and pace with each other. They're parallel. The one that is mostly our family, or in this case, greater societal bone, that is the one that's also next to the shell, which is turned inward. So again, we are looking not so much at what goes on in this next month about what's going on outside of ourselves, it's about what's going on inward. There are those, no matter what happens, are going to be licking wounds. And will they cringe and then want to lash out because of these wounds? Or will they keep them in? And in that case, do they fester? Do they fester and they poison them to the point that they will now be malicious from the future onward? And this is again about how we communicate. Understand that if somebody believes something very deeply, we can't shift that. That's just going to make them believe on it harder and harder and harder. They're going to cling to it. Don't challenge the belief. Don't challenge with facts, because again, they're not going to listen. Challenge the emotion if you can. And challenge what is the information it's giving, and is that really the best place for them? Is that actually the thing that's going to help them thrive? Or is it, again, nothing but poison? But you can't shout that at somebody. You can't scream that at somebody, because they're not going to listen. Equally in that case, if they're not going to listen, even when you've talked to the emotion, then we have to let them go. And I know that's a hard thing for many people to process with, is that idea is that you have to let them go. And that's going to hurt. And that may cause things to fester even more. But at that point, is it going to be trying to take care of them as this sort of gangrene continues to grow, or is it going to poison the rest of the system, rest of the body, rest of the community, rest of the neighborhood, the rest of the friendship, the rest of the family? And it's going to cause generational wounds, which sadly we can't get around new wounds being formed. And this entire experience, these last 4 years, have the potential of have shown and brought us the potential of new generational wounds. The question is, are we in a better state to be able to heal from them and not let them dissolve us and hurt us more? And that is part of what the crystal is saying here with the quartz. As I've said many times, this is the crystallized memory. This is the experience and thoughts of our past that we can basically look at from multiple different angles. It gives us the chance to look and learn and see those things that we didn't see. It gives us those chance to know where we have come from so that we can move into the full future. Because this crystal cannot hold those images if it is dark. The crystal has to remain lit, has to remain with the light in it so that we can see, and that is the potential for us to change and take other paths. We have the copper piece here, which is in amongst all the bones. And Spirit is, as always, watching, but Spirit is also ready to pull its support, because you notice that where it's positioned is around the home, and Spirit will do everything it can to protect its home. If a home falls, it is because Spirit no longer feels that it is the best place for it to reside. And we also have to look at the standpoint of, what does a home mean for us? Is it a place that Spirit is welcome? Is it a place where we are welcome? There are those who would talk about the idea of running to another country. And more power to them. But also understand, many of us don't have the ability or luxury to run to another country. And even then, you got to deal with the new politics or whatever that new home will be. Because eventually, everyone who moves like that will become an immigrant, especially if the U.S. falls. So, what is the home that you are making that lets Spirit be and have what it is? And to do so, we have to communicate with Spirit. We have to be open to hearing what it says, both good and ill. Because sometimes a warning that's coming is not going to be all light and mirrors. Sometimes it will be doom and gloom, and it gives you the chance to put everything in a row so that you're ready when the crisis comes. I said this once to a client who was talking about the issue of a crisis they were in, and I said, well, imagine if we were dealing with your house on fire and you called 911. And 911's response was, okay, we will get a fire department truck out there to you. It's going to take us 6 months to find the right vehicle to put that together to carry the water. It's going to also take another 6 months for us to train everybody properly to do that and work with that fire. And well, we may take us at least another month or so to get the right liability insurance and so forth. And who knows, it could take up to a year to make sure we got enough water pressure appropriate if need be. So just hang in there and we'll get to your house in about 6 months, at least. And of course, your house is burned down. The issue with crisis is not that you try and find the resources then. You get the resources before the crisis happens. And that's putting everything in the row. That's making sure we've communicated what resources we need and what we have on hand so that we can have everything in a row. With our siblings, with our friends, with our neighbors, and with our community. And that's going to be part of what's going to be necessary in dealing with the law, which is supposed to be there having everything in a row. So, November is going to be about making sure you've got everything taken care of and in a row. Because Spirit has got a lot of things that it can throw around and put to us for positive, or it can use all those things to just, well, you've proven you're not ready to grow into the next level, so we're going to send you back and start you all over again. And there's a lot of nature, a lot of energy, a lot of ancestors who will be more than happy to do that and hope that you've learned your lesson. So, prove that you have learned your lesson. Prove that you are ready to deal with whatever crisis that might come. Prove that you are open and able to communicate, to form whatever laws and justness is needed. So, I wish everyone well, and as the thing that has been perpetually said, go out and vote. But vote making sure that you're voting for what brings us all a broader future, and not just a limited few. Not just those who relish in pain and suffering. So on behalf of the ancestors and the Orisha, Asha.